This is a special Walker Cup episode. The Back of the Range Golf Podcast will introduce you to the finest amateur golfers in the United States. Some have competed in major championships, others have won USGA titles, and many have been named All-Americans. The one thing they all have in common? They all want to be one of 10 men chosen to represent their country at the 47th Walker Cup matches at Royal Liverpool Golf Club. This is the Road to Hoylake, presented by AmateurGolf.com. And now your host, Ben Adelberg.
And welcome back to the Road to Hoylake, presented by AmateurGolf.com. I am your host, Ben Adelberg. Our first episode in this series introduces you to a couple California guys that have 10 years between them, but are both playing some fantastic golf, and at least one of them is already preparing for the Walker Cup at Hoylake. So I had a chance to reconnect with Stewart Hagestad, the 2016 U.S. Mid-Amateur champion, a couple weeks before it was announced that he would receive one of the automatic selections along with Cole Hammer and Akshay Bhatia. So when you listen to our conversation, he didn't know that he was on the team yet. And as a little postscript, I did text him that day that he did get the call from the USGA, and he basically said that he had been thinking about that moment for the last 2 years since playing on the 2017 U.S. team. We didn't get too deep into his start into the game or his experience playing in the Masters in 2017 because we did that on episode 52 last year. So that episode link can be found in the show notes. During this conversation, we spoke about the U.S. Open at Pebble Beach and what his summer plans were leading up to the Walker Cup. I also had a chance to speak with William Mouw from Chino, California. He is the 2019 California State Amateur Champion and will be attending Pepperdine as a freshman this fall. William played on the inaugural Junior President's Cup team in 2017 with Bhatia and Hammer, and he's looking to make a strong push to make another national team. Regardless of what happens in the next few weeks, I was really impressed with William. He's a good kid with clear goals and a solid family behind him. He's someone to definitely get to know and keep your eye on at the U.S. Amateur at Pinehurst. William is currently playing in the Western Amateur. He did make the cut in stroke play, so best of luck to him the rest of the way. Just a little bit of housekeeping. These episodes are going to come at you fast, so I want to get them all out before the final match of the U.S. Amateur on August 18th. So make sure that you're subscribed in Apple Podcast and Spotify to get the latest episodes in this series. Don't forget to follow on AmateurGolf.com for in-depth information during the upcoming weeks. As always, we're on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. If you need any of that information, go to thebackoftherange.com. So before we get to our conversations with Stewart and William, let's welcome back Julie Williams, managing editor at AmateurGolf.com, to get some insight from the world of amateur golf this week. Julie, welcome back.
Thanks for having me back. I'm in Western Amateur mode this week.
This is so we just finished 36 holes of the 72 holes of stroke play at the Western Amateur. Top 16 after 72 holes will advance to match play. So without putting you on the spot too much, you've seen 36 holes, you see the leaderboard. What are your kind of your initial thoughts right now?
Honestly, I am surprised how many big names didn't make the 36 hole cut. So the first cut fell today, and I'm looking at the guys under that line. One of them is Cole Hammer, defending champion.
Yeah.
Another guy who I thought would definitely be in the running, Stephen Fisk. He's the Georgia Southern graduate,
Sure.
also on our Walker Cup list. Isaiah Salinda didn't make it. Another kid who I've been watching this summer is Cooper Dossie. He won the North and South. I think Cooper Dossie is a pretty cool kid, fun to watch. And I was surprised. I thought he had enough good momentum going, having won the North and South, qualified for the U.S. Amateur. He might have a good week this week. But so I think it kind of opens up who might have a shot at that match play bracket. Interestingly, I looked this up before the start of the tournament. So the Sweet 16, or the 16 players who make it to match play to then play off for the championship, obviously, 9 of those players from last year's Sweet 16 were in the tournament this year, and only one of those guys is left, and that's Spencer Ralston.
Wow.
So, yeah, interesting stat there.
So I know they moved the tournament site around, and this is the first time I believe in about 10 years that it's at Point of Woods up in Michigan. There's just so many factors with this tournament. The length of it is so grueling, and then also I'm wondering if some of the big names that you mentioned, are they just thinking about the fact that it's this tournament, it's the USAM, and that's the end of me putting together my body of work before the Walker Cup team gets chosen?
I do wonder about that. I would think that there's some pressure to play well this week, but there's also, this is important, but the U.S. Amateur is maybe more important. So you probably want to be peaking and coming out of this week playing better. Of course, that didn't seem to bother Cole Hammer last year. He won this tournament and then went on to the semifinals and had a great week at the U.S. Amateur. But I think you're right. It's not really a rest in the summer if you're a top college player. You don't really get time off.
No, these guys have to just kind of put the hammer down and get many top finishes as they can to put themselves in the best position possible to make that team.
Yeah. So I wonder how fatigue is playing in, but something, kind of an under the radar name that's up near the top is Daniel Wetterick, who is an Ohio State player. He just finished his eligibility there, but he has been in the mix, in the conversation all summer long. He had the first round lead at the Dogwood, like at the very start of the summer. And he's kind of been on the road every week. And I see his name up in the top 10 and the top 20, and he's going to share the lead after 36 holes. So he's kind of a quiet player, and he's not somebody who, we would have on our Walker Cup watch list, but he's somebody who I've been sort of intrigued about. I like talking like strategy and just talking golf with Daniel Wetterick. I've talked to him several times this summer, and I think he's just enjoying the summer amateur circuit. So I kind of like that.
Yeah, no, there's a lot of really interesting names. There's a lot of juniors up there. There's just it's too early to kind of get too far down the road of who we like. So hopefully in our next installment of the Road to Hoylake, we'll be a little bit closer, and maybe that round of 16 will be a little bit clearer to take a look at, and we can talk about who maybe you like moving forward. With regards to this episode, we're going to talk about Stewart Hagestad, as I mentioned. We're going to visit with William Mouw, both California guys. So just to kind of give maybe the listeners a little bit of an insider, maybe some insight on these two guys, what has been your experience with them maybe throughout your time at AmateurGolf.com?
So I most recently saw Stewart Hagestad at the Players Amateur earlier this month. He opened with an 11 under 61 in the first round, and nobody got even within 4 shots of that score that day. And it was a very humbling post-round interview with Stewart Hagestad. He said, I got to like 8 under, and I, had to sort of check myself, because when was the last time I got to 8 under?
Yeah.
And of course he finished it and had a 61. He didn't quite finish off that tournament. He finished second to Spencer Ralston. But he is a very calm guy who I think keeps things in perspective very well. That comes with age, I would think. He's 28 years old. But he is, I think, would play that sort of very needed role of, maybe you would even call it like the big brother in the team room.
Yeah.
I think that is one of the major advantages of having a mid-amateur on your team. And we've seen guys play that role before. I think probably Nathan Smith invented that role. and so, but I think Stewart Hagestad knows a lot of these guys. There was definitely banter, between him and a lot of these college guys during the round, after the round. So he fits in well. He's not that much older than they are, to be honest with you. But I like kind of the cool, calm demeanor of Stewart Hagestad. I think that brings a lot to the team. William Mouw is technically a junior. He'll head to Pepperdine in the fall, but he's going to be part of this great Pepperdine team that keeps winning events this year. When I kind of keyed into William Mouw this summer was when he won the California Amateur, which had a stroke play component. But before that, he hit the junior circuit pretty hard in the last year. So a lot of his experience comes from junior golf, but that's not a bad thing, because he played on a Junior President's Cup. He played on a Wyndham Cup team, which is the AJGA's kind of inter-team, match play and team competition. So he has that team experience. He's not just playing, stroke play events, but I think it's interesting to keep an eye on William Mouw and see if we could end up with two juniors on that Walker Cup team.
Well, I mean, he's ranked 20th in the world. He's really just right there, and it almost looks like if he can really make a big splash here at the Western and then back it up with something at the USAM, yeah, it's just so interesting to see what's going to happen, because there's just everyone's kind of bunched up in this spot where it's just like anyone makes a big move and it looks like it's going to put them on that team.
Yeah, no, I agree. I think I'm really keyed into what's going to happen this week and at the U.S. Amateur, because it's like, it's the last push and there's a lot of pressure.
Julie, as always, thanks again for your time. Look forward to speaking to you on the next episode of the Road to Hoylake, and we'll talk more about the Western Amateur as the final matches come into shape.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
Julie, thanks so much for the insight. I look forward to speaking with you on the next episode of the Road to Hoylake. Let's get to our conversations with Stewart and William. Stewart, welcome back to the Back of the Range Golf podcast. Appreciate the time. How are you?
Thank you for having me. Yeah, I'm happy to be here.
Well, you survived the first interview you did last December, and it didn't seem to hurt you too much. You've had a very nice 2019. Got to enjoy your third straight U.S. Open and Pebble Beach, no less. Been doing a lot of Pebble Beach. You had the USAM, you had U.S. Open. Maybe can you just get into just the difference you saw at the USAM at Pebble and then the U.S. Open at Pebble?
I've got to be honest, it really wasn't that different. Okay. And it was just more complete. So strictly from the golf course, it was very similar. There were pockets of the rough at the USAM that were higher where, kind of if you missed the fairway, you're in a real tough spot. So the rough kind of, along the fairways and around the greens was just more of that. It was more consistent and kind of what you'd expect from a US Open, but it wasn't by any stretch unfair. It was just kind of what you'd expect. That graduated rough that they talk about, and it was great. And then they brought in a few of the fairways. So they brought in the ones that come to mind, or they brought in 1, 2, 4, 8, 9. You couldn't use the right side at all. 11, 15, 16, maybe 14 a little bit, especially in the second shot. But all those holes are kind of like if you missed the fairway, that's on you. You were hitting 4-iron off the tee, not necessarily 11, but it was great. It was, but to me and to my eye, it was very similar to the USAM. And I think a lot of the boys that played both would say the same. And then obviously just from the hospitality standpoint and the crowds, and it's just much more of a production, it's way bigger. And again, that's fairly obvious, but just
sure.
From just that standpoint of it, if you'd never played in one before and maybe didn't know what to expect, it was maybe a little more eye-opening. But no, it was about kind of what I expected it would be like. It was compared to Shinnecock. Well, I'll say this: compared to Shinnecock, there was nothing super intimidating about it.
When they're playing the U.S. Open, there's obviously tons and tons of amateurs that are there, whether they make it through sectional, whether they're there through, any other exemptions that they've received. Did you find yourself kind of connecting or veering towards some of the other amateurs, or were you trying to pick the brains of any of the pros? I'm kind of wondering, this is not your first venture into a U.S. Open and to multiple USGA championships, but did you find yourself gravitating towards anyone while you were there?
Yeah, no, I know what you mean. So this was the first one that I genuinely didn't feel super intimidated by. Okay. I wasn't in a rush to get there. I didn't feel out of place when I was there. I will say I did get sick early in that week, and I wish I would have played a little better. Not necessarily that I would have done anything crazy or, maybe even challenged Victor, because that was just a psychopathic performance on his end. That was wild.
Yeah.
I don't think anyone's ever I'll be very surprised if he ever skips Pebble Beach for the rest of his career. He's had a pretty good run there.
Yeah, he's doing okay there.
He's had a good run. So yeah, but just from, making the cut and doing something really nice. I was one outside the line with 5 to go on Friday. And, if I had maybe felt a little bit better earlier in the week, I had 2 good front nines and 2 poor back nines. And I genuinely believe, again, not to sit here and make excuses or anything like that, but I think that if I was maybe a little sharper mentally and my body felt a little better, that, I would have had a little bit more of a cushion. But, it is what it is. Stuff happens. But from just like a preparation standpoint, and anyone that I kind of gravitated towards, not really, and nothing at all against the other AMs. Like, it's an amazing experience for everyone, but I've always kind of felt like you play your best when it's just another event and you feel like you've prepared properly in the right way. And I kind of tried to treat it like any other event. Obviously, it's a U.S. Open, and obviously it's a big deal, but I've gotten through sectionals, a few times now, and I've been fortunate to play in 4 majors, I guess you could say. Obviously, both the U.S. Open and the Masters are a little different, but I don't know. I really just kind of tried to get in this mindset that if I go out and I play my game, to what I'm capable of, I could go out and shoot a good number. So this was the first one where I felt, kind of more at ease and more, just more comfortable, I guess. And I think, hopefully that'll continue going forward. But
we're getting close to, I know the Walker Cup is something that's very near and dear to your heart. You're a member of the victorious team in 2017 at LA Country Club. This year we're over at, the U.S. team is going over to Liverpool, to Royal Liverpool at Hoylake. So I guess one of the questions I want to ask you is, what is kind of a schedule that you're putting together for the summer? Obviously the U.S. AMs at Pinehurst, I'm pretty sure we're going to see you there. But what are some of the other tournaments you're going to be playing in this summer to kind of put yourself in a good spot?
Yeah. So I've obviously played the Open, and then I played the Northeast AM. I've got about 2 weeks off now. It's the 27th. So I'll probably leave for that on the 7th or the 8th, and I'll do that. It's a great field. I've actually played the golf course a long time ago. It's where I went to high school. So I'm looking forward to going back for the first time in about 10 years. That'll be neat. Literally 10 years. So I'll play the Players Am, and then got, I guess, my one fun event of the summer from an outside of a golf perspective. I've got a wedding after that, which will be fun. Yeah, one of my best friends in New York, or 2 of my best friends in New York, I guess. That'll be really fun. So then I've got 2 weeks off. I haven't fully made a decision, but I'm pretty committed to not going to the Western. I'd love to, but Brandon Wu and I were selected to go to the Pan American Games in Lima, Peru. I have tried to kind of commit to playing no more than 2 weeks in a row. And if I were to do the Western and then the Pan Am Games and then the US Am, it would just be a really kind of a lot.
Well, and the other thing too is, a lot of these guys, you have the advantage of just about everyone except for maybe 1 or 2 guys on this short list. You have the experience playing on the team, but I almost think it's just as important. You have the experience of a summer leading up to making a team. So you know kind of how to set a schedule, not get too worn out, and you know how to, I guess, remain calm throughout this process of putting yourself in the right spot to get a pick. So
that's a really good observation, because it's true.
You're someone that has been on the team, and you're someone that has endured the summer leading up to the team. What is just a general recommendation you can make to these guys that are on the short list that were with you at the practice session in December?
I mean, depending on kind of where you are, I mean,
Sure.
It's obviously it's a very challenging thing, because you can't make any promises. And, while you kind of know where you stand in regards to your tournament resume and your world ranking, at the same time, you also kind of, I think it's important, like in any aspect of life, like, that it is an anonymous decision and it's not completely out there in the open. Like, what made the phone call for me so much fun and making the team so much fun in 2017 was, up until the moment I got the phone call, I had so much anxiety of whether or not it was good enough. And, that sounds terrible and stressful and a little unfair. And I completely empathize with a lot of people that, were on the other side of that. But at the same time, just to me, it was just the most rewarding weightlifting experience. And obviously, like, I hope to continue to build my case to, represent the USGA in the United States, and obviously everything that goes with it. But at the same time, one thing that I thought was really interesting that Colin Morikawa said during the week in 2017 was he had a really good understanding. I think the world of Colin and his game, and he just kind of gets it.
Yeah.
He knows how to best manage himself and everything that he's doing. But he didn't want to go and tire himself out. Like, he took a week or week and a half long vacation sometime in like July to just give his body and his mind and just everything a rest. And I think that, having the opportunity to kind of, take some time off and to kind of understand where you are can be really beneficial. So I think time off's important. You put yourself through a ton of stress and a ton of nervous energy. And, the reason it's such a big deal is obviously because it means so much to you as well. And, it's a neat opportunity, but I think it's important to take time off and to give yourself the best chance to play well, even if instead of playing 6 or 7 events, maybe you only play 5 or whatever it may be.
You were at the practice session in December down here in South Florida. Without mentioning certain names of guys, how encouraged were you at the youth and at the quality of guys? Not just what they can all hit the shots and they can all make the putts, but how encouraged were you when you saw the group that was there in South Florida?
I mean, the kids are all really good. They're only getting better, and it's almost discouraging is not the right word, but it's almost kind of eye opening. Just like, I mean, the easy example is, Akshay's 17 and he's hitting shots that guys on tour, they're playing in the final groups or hitting down the stretch. And you look at guys, Will Gordon since turned pro. Obviously, Wolf was down there. I mean, you could go down the list, shoot all those kids, just get the heck out of it.
Yeah.
Even like it's funny, an easy example would be like an Alex Smalley, who is, about as sexy as, whole wheat toast. The reason his game is so good is because he hits it. It's because he hits it 310 on a string and he wedges it. Like, he literally epitomizes, would you take, hitting it, on the green 20 feet for birdie 72 times? It's like, well, yeah, well, there's a reason he's top 10 in the world or whatever he is.
Yeah.
So, I mean, everyone's just really, really good. Everyone knows their game. Everyone's confident in their game. They're all the kids are just super impressive. So,
do you think he knows that he's as sexy as whole wheat toast, or is this going to be the first he's learning of this?
No, I tried to go through my Rolodex of terrible expressions, and that's the one I settled on.
Okay, well, hopefully I'm going to be talking to him soon. Hopefully he'll be okay with that. All right, well, Stu, we've done it before. I appreciate you taking the time. I hope everything goes well with your summer. Get some rest, and I know you're going to be preparing for September. And all the best to you this summer.
Thank you so much. Nice to talk to you as well. We'll talk soon.
Thank you, Stewart. Appreciate the time as always. And it can be said now, congrats on securing your spot on the 2019 United States Walker Cup team. Our next guest here at the Road to Hoylake is looking to join Stu on the Walker Cup team. He is the 20th ranked amateur in the world, incoming freshman at Pepperdine this fall, and the former number 1 ranked junior in the world. William Mouw, welcome to the Road to Hoylake. How are you?
Yeah, I'm doing great. Thanks for having me out here.
Absolutely. So we're getting ready and ramping up. You've had a phenomenal summer, leading into the USAM, leading into a run and making the Walker Cup team. This is your final year as a junior golfer, and you picked up the Thunderbird Junior this year, and then also just capped off the California State Amateur. How's it been the last couple months as you're kind of prepping to go into the USAM?
Yeah, it's been good. I've been working hard every day to prepare for USAM and hopefully some other things as well. I've been putting in a lot of mental prep for these tournaments and a lot of great hard work. That's what it comes down to.
Let me ask you this. You mentioned mental prep. You've made this big jump. You're going from junior amateur tournaments to, USAM. You were in the round of 16 last year at Pebble Beach. When you say mental preparation, what are you doing maybe now that you didn't do maybe 3 years ago?
Yeah, just a different approach of the whole game about, it could come anywhere from match play to stroke play, about not looking into the future as much, staying in the present, staying patient, no expectations on yourself. And it does take a lot of pressure off yourself. And that helped for me. That freed me up to play some of my better golf, which was awesome.
I have to ask, so give me, a lot of people that I've had on the podcast, I love trying to find out the origins of how they get into the game of golf. Some grow up at a country club. Some get dropped off at the Muni course by their parents. How did you actually get into the game of golf?
Yeah, so my dad and his brothers grew up playing, and as a kid, I loved all kinds of sports. And my dad in the early 90s was trying to play on the mini tours. And then once he had me as a kid, when I was like maybe 2 or 3, he dragged me along onto the course.
Sure.
And I used to just watch him play. And I kind of learned from watching him swing the club. And then sure enough, I just started to swing the club, and it came, I just fell in love with it. So
your dad tried to run the mini tours, which is, I know all over the country there are mini tours, and it's a tough way to make a living. So
it is.
Which I guess you have you kind of have to put a finite amount of time on that, and then if you make it, great. If not, it's kind of tough to sustain a living doing that. So your dad, gave up the dream and of trying to pursue it as a professional. A lot of people fall back to a field of business, whether it's real estate or insurance, or maybe they're going to be working as an executive or in sales. What's your dad doing these days?
Yeah, so growing up in college, he was trying to play on the mini tours, but also was delivering eggs and buying and selling eggs already in college, starting his business.
That's a first that we've had here. He sells. Is this the family business now?
It is now. It started out real small about 24 years ago. So farming in my family is huge. My uncle had a farm. My grandpa still has a farm in Iowa.
Wow.
Sioux Center, Iowa. He has 1 million chickens over there. So growing up, my dad followed in my grandpa's steps for the farm, and yeah, he just started to do that, and he's one of the best I've ever seen at it.
Okay, so we're going to get back to golf, but I have a little bit of a farming background in the state of Kansas, so we shared a little bit of that in common. Talk to me about, you're growing up on a farm. Like, what did you do to help out when you're on the farm?
Oh, yeah. It taught me if there was work needed around the farm, you would definitely, the family is the first to help out.
Sure.
So it really taught me how to, nothing it would be given to you. I had to work for everything. It taught me work ethic. It taught me how to make money. And growing up on a farm and learning how to work hard and seeing my dad work hard every day taught me how to not take things for granted or my talent and use it to the full for me.
Well, and the other thing I keep thinking about is, you're a former #1 ranked junior amateur in the world. Those chickens don't really care about that, do they?
No, they just care about, can you feed me and give me water?
Okay.
So
yeah. Let me ask you this. Have there been tournaments that you've won where, everyone there is just patting you on the back saying you're the best, you're the greatest, boy, great tournament, what an accomplishment. And then you come back home and you have farm chores to do. Has that happened more than once where just go from the highest of highs to now maybe you're cleaning out a chicken coop?
Oh yeah, definitely. So after I won the Western Junior, there was some rain back home and one of our buildings fell over. Okay. And we had to go immediately when we landed, we had to go catch the chickens that got out and rebuild the building that fell down.
Okay.
So literally the day or two after was right back to work, and that was funny. That was fun.
Western junior amateur champion running around chasing chickens on his farm.
That's right. The day after.
Perfect. Okay. That's awesome. Not that it's awesome that the building fell down, but that's just, I think it's a perfect example of humility, and this is life.
Oh, yeah.
And yeah, so that's perfect. I'd love to talk about this for hours, but we're going to actually move on to your golf achievements here. You're currently the number 21 ranked amateur in the world, number 10 ranked American amateur. So you're in that perfect spot to make a final push to get yourself a spot on the Walker Cup team. You picked up the amateur championship for California this year, played at Monterey Peninsula. What are some of the other courses that you've been able to play in California that people that are listening to this podcast would just kind of shake their head and say, man, how do you get access to those places?
As these top ranked amateurs, we get to play on some unbelievable courses. Monterey Peninsula Country Club, one of the most private clubs in Central California, and what a great venue to have a wonderful tournament at. So that one was pretty amazing. Pebble Beach was was unbelievable.
So the thing I also wanted to ask you is that, you know, your dad was on the bag for you at the state am, if I have that right.
No, that is right. Yeah.
What's the dynamic? I mean, not just having a parent, but a parent that, you know, good player in his own right. How do you guys kind of unplug the father son dynamic when you're on the course working together?
He totally was a great guy to lean on for, being calm. He would always stay calm. He would, help me out with patience, breathing, all the stuff that you need, obviously. And it was great to lean on him for that.
You know, you pick up that win. Now, I'm sure that you had already committed to Pepperdine. That's where you're going to go to college. That's where you're going to play for the Waves. And for maybe people listening to your accomplishments, you know, making the top six or the final 16 in the USAM last year, and all these junior tournaments, AJGA success that you've had, and being a number one ranked junior in the world, they may think, well, okay, I would maybe think that he would be attending maybe a different university, like a UCLA or a Stanford or a USC,
Right.
or maybe one of the other California schools. Maybe Pepperdine isn't the main name that would be identifiable, but you felt, I'm assuming, that Pepperdine was just a perfect fit. How did Pepperdine get on your radar?
You know, I toured a lot of great universities around here, USC, UCLA, unbelievable. But growing up, freshman year, Pepperdine was Coach Beard, unbelievable coach, and how he held himself really attracted me to the campus and the golf team. And we have a great team coming up, and I'm just, happy to be a part of it. The faith background for the campus really led me towards it too. I'm happy to move my faith on over there at Pepperdine. So yeah, it was a lot of great things. I'm very excited to go there.
Well, I did a little bit of research, and I saw some of the pictures of the campus. It's right in Malibu. I mean,
unbelievable. Yeah.
I mean, get out of here, because I know you like to surf. I know you like to hang out at the beach, and I'm looking at these pictures. I'm like, how do you just not? I mean, how do you not pick that place?
Right. So yeah, I'm also a big beach guy. You know, when I'm home, I'd go practice in the morning, but towards the afternoon and sunset, I'd love to go to the beach and surf and boogie board with my friends and enjoy. And that's what I'm going to get at Pepperdine as well. So I felt like it was really a really good fit and home for me to develop my game and grow in my faith and get to the next level of golf, because Coach Beard is so knowledgeable, and I really feel like he can develop our team and me to the next level.
Well, you're talking about the next level, and you're getting ready to go play in the U.S. Amateur this year, and I know that the Walker Cup is something that is on your radar. It would not be the first time that you were playing for your country. You were actually, just such an incredible experience. I would have to imagine playing the Junior President's Cup in 2017. A lot of names that are very familiar to people that follow amateur golf, whether it be Trent Phillips and Cole Hammer, Garrett Barber, all those guys. Akshay Bhatia was there. So I know it was an inaugural. I know it was everyone's first time doing something like that. But
yeah,
was it more of an exhibition, or was it something that you looked at as a very serious competition? What was kind of your experience at the Junior President's Cup?
Oh no, it was an honor to play on the inaugural Junior President's Cup. I think it's something that will be in my memory forever. Having a captain like David Toms and an honorary captain like Jack Nicklaus is just something you can't put into words. And just playing with a lot of great other players such as Cole Hammer and Trent Phillips and Akshay and Garrett. And there's just, it was really fun to put a team together like that and battle against another great international team. It was just such a honor to play on it.
Were there certain leaders on that team? Did you find yourself being somewhat vocal, or did you find yourself trying to figure out your place on the team? How did everything kind of like that shake out?
I think we were all still trying to figure out, our positions, because, it was the first one. We didn't quite know what we were getting into.
Right.
But I felt like towards alternate shot and singles, we really came together and we really put a beating on the international team, because we found each other's our vibe. So it was pretty cool.
Yeah, for people that don't understand the difference, I mean, the difference in complexity with alternate shot as opposed to just, best ball or four ball.
Right.
What are some of the things that you did to help yourself and help your team in alternate shot? Because that's the only format in Walker Cup except for singles, obviously.
Right. So, alternate shot is tough. You first of all, you can't really get mad at yourself or your partner because things are going to happen, and you really have to expect the unexpected when you're playing. And I actually got to play with my teammate Joe Highsmith that I get to play at Pepperdine with, and we had a great time there. Learned a lot. Yeah, you got to focus on make sure try to get your ball in the fairway for your partner to hit on the green. I think it's big in placement where you put the ball in alternate shot.
Sure.
And once you do that, I feel like putts are going to start dropping. If you give you or your partner a chance to make a putt, I think good things will happen then.
Well, it sounds like a great strategy. It's just, and I also think it's just one of those things that we don't play a lot of over here in the United States. It seems to be more in the golfing culture in the UK. Doesn't seem
Right.
like we play a lot of it here. I think that's one downfall that we have. The one thing I wanted to ask is, maybe the state of the modern game is something that always gets discussed on TV or on social media. It seems to be everywhere where people are, talking about how far everyone hits it, how far the young guys hit it. And, that conversation kind of gets brought up by people like me in the ages of, maybe 30 to 50. And it's not really talked about maybe on the, from juniors or amateurs. Is that an approach that you take to the game? Is it a bomb and gouge, or just, I'm just going to hit as far as I can and just go find it? Is that something that's a strategy, or is it just the fact that this is the equipment that you grew up with and this is the golf ball that you have?
Right.
And I'm just kind of curious from a junior's perspective, an elite junior, elite amateur, what is your kind of take on what the modern game is?
There's millions of strategies you can use, and one of them is bashing the ball. It depends what course setup they have for you, such as last week at Inverness, the USGA grew the rough out. So usually bashing the ball was not an ideal strategy for that course. Sure. Maybe an iron off the tee on a couple holes could put you in a better position than being 150 out in the rough, which is, it's 3-4 inches long, which is just really hard. So I feel like, growing up with everyone says the ball goes so far. I feel like they've lengthened the courses. So, short hitters are still going to have the same problem if they don't change the ball, if they keep the ball. So that's how I kind of feel.
Yeah. Well, the U.S. Junior, I think you guys are playing that at about 7,400 yards?
Yeah, we play at 7,400 yards, par 71. So
doesn't get much tougher than that.
No, that was pretty hard.
What's your schedule for the rest of the summer? What are you working on? What are you putting yourself or how are you putting yourself in the best spot to get ready for college and also potentially make that team?
So I got the Western Amateur, and after that is the USAM, which is going to be a great opportunity as well. Me and my coach, we're really working on short game, the whole mental outcome of how to approach each tournament. I think that is really important for us amateurs to take in and learn from our last tournaments of what we can do differently and improve for these coming tournaments. And I feel like if I, give it my all, I feel like, I'll be pleasantly surprised of the results. I don't like to look at results. I like to look at the process of each day, how I take it in each tournament. So I feel like if I give myself a great opportunity and stay in the present, I feel like good things are going to happen. And I would love to play on the Walker Cup, but it's not out yet. So I got a lot of work to clean up here. And if I get to play on it, I would love to represent my country, and I would give it my all for sure.
That's great. You mentioned hitting golf balls on the farm. What is your setup there? Do you have a place where you hit from and yardages? I mean, is this just hitting balls out in the back just for no purpose, or do you have something set up?
Yeah, I do. There's okay. I have one spot in the corner by my basketball hoop that it's 178 yards to the back. So I know I can hit a nice full 9-iron into the wind, and it'll be like, 10 yards short. And I try to get as many balls as I can equal with the little pin there around 100, 168 yards. And, it's dirt back there. So I get to go get them and then bring them back again. And it's just fun to see if, I'm peering it and see if my distance control is good. And, yeah, so it's pretty cool.
That's awesome.
And if I want to move it back, I'll move it all the way back to our driveway in the front, and you can get almost 75 to 100 more yards on it. So it becomes like, a nice little hybrid out there you can launch out there. It's 280 yards, which is awesome.
Those yardages are a little bit out of my range, but sure. Okay. Whatever you say, William. I agree. Well, that sounds fun. Well, William, this has been a lot of fun. I wish you the best at Pepperdine. I wish you the best for the rest of the summer.
Yeah, thanks, Ben.
It sounds like you're right there with, wherever you want to go with this, and it looks like you got a great opportunity to make this year's team and hopefully many more. So we wish you the best. Enjoy the rest of the summer, and hopefully we'll talk soon.
I will. Thanks, Ben. Thanks for having me.
And there you have it. Special thanks to Stewart Hagestad and William Mouw for joining us this time. Also, thanks to Julie Williams from AmateurGolf.com. She'll be adding insight and information on every episode in this series. We'll see you again next time on the Road to Hoylake here at the back of the range.